Hey everyone, have you been doing well? I'm now the president of Martin Industries.
All the classmates knew that Ethan's dad, the chairman, used to be the president. So no one was surprised to hear that Ethan had become the president.
Hey, isn't that Michael?
Ethan noticed me and shouted. I didn't want to talk to Ethan just for today. Hey, long time no see. You look well, Ethan. I managed to squeeze out a non-committal response. But seeing my agitation, Ethan seemed to misunderstand that I was afraid of him.
What's the matter? You still look poor. I'm a president with investments from big corporations.
Oh, that investment is canceled after all.
Hey everyone, did you hear? The poor guy, Michael, is canceling his investment in Martin Industries. What? Are you jealous and trying to prank me?
I quietly responded to Ethan's laughter. I wasn't planning to reveal my current status, but my name is Michael Thompson, a 52-year-old living off investments. Originally, I worked at a brokerage firm and moved a lot of money as a fund manager. I managed to perform quite well. So at 45, I quit the brokerage firm and became an investor. Thanks to my achievements and experience as a fund manager, my investments also went well. So I started investing in companies I wanted to support. I made profits through stock trading and investment funds, and I allocated about half of these profits to investing in small and medium-sized enterprises. I established an investment fund and started working as both president and fund manager. My investments in small businesses are aimed at growth, not just profit. Of course, it's better if they profit, but it's also important to support companies that are striving hard. I invest to promote their growth, regardless of profits. If they're ready for a new challenge, I'll support that too. That's how I've been managing funds. The investment fund has grown, and I've been able to support many small and medium-sized businesses. It's gratifying to see the companies I support grow. For that reason, today too, I'm earning investment money to support them. One day, I received a notification about the alumni reunion at home. It was news of my high school reunion. Fortunately, I was free and decided to attend. As I was reminiscing about my high school days, the phone rang.
Long time no see, Michael. Did you see the notice about the reunion?
The caller was Timothy Brown, a classmate from high school. I call him Tim. After graduating high school, Tim got a job at a magazine company and is now thriving as an economic journalist. Tim being an economic journalist and me being an investor, we still keep in touch. Yeah, it's really been a long time. Last time I was too busy as a fund manager and couldn't attend. I'll definitely attend this time. What about you, Tim?
I'm attending too. A few of our classmates who have appeared in the economic world will be there. Looking forward to it.
At Tim's words, I suddenly remembered something. During high school, Ethan used to look down on me. I was regarded as poor by Ethan, but my family was just an ordinary employee's family, no different from other classmates. Unlike me, born into an employee's family, Ethan was the son of a relatively large company's president. So to Ethan, we might have seemed poor. For some reason, he always picked on me. Even now, I don't understand why he targeted only me. Tim, do you remember Ethan? I asked Tim.
Yeah, Ethan took over his family's company and became the president. His dad was a very enthusiastic and caring person, but Ethan used to pick on you, right? He seems to be doing the same to his employees.
Tim answered nonchalantly. True to his role as an economic journalist, he's well informed about corporate affairs. Tim, at the reunion, just referred to me as a stockbroker. It might be a problem if there are people from the investment community there. Tim understood my point.
That makes sense. Let's do that.
With that, Tim hung up the phone. A few days later, I visited a certain person. It was Charles Martin, the chairman of Martin Industries. He started his business during the period of rapid economic growth and survived the company through recessions following the economic bubble burst and the Lehman shock. He is a businessman I respect, and he's also the dad of Ethan, who looked down on me in high school.
Thank you for coming all the way today, Michael.
I came because Charles wanted to talk to me. Since hearing that Charles had become less mobile with age, I had been visiting him like this. It's always enlightening to hear your stories. What did you want to consult about today? I sat down on the chair prepared by Charles. He started speaking with a troubled look.
You know that the president of this company is my son, your classmate Ethan, right? It's about my son.
Yes. There's my high school reunion coming up, so I might see your son there. Charles looked disappointed as he continued.
I let him take over as the president, but I think it was a mistake.
I asked in surprise. Why do you say that? I had heard from Tim about Ethan's behavior. Indeed, it involved nitpicking at his employees, but I couldn't know the current situation without seeing it myself. It's surprising to hear someone as successful as you, Charles, consider it a failure. Why do you think it was a mistake?
My son can't understand the hardships of the employees. He always finds faults with the younger employees and demoralizes them. It seems to be affecting our performance now. I'm considering dismissing him.
As Tim had told me, there was no doubt Ethan was nitpicking at his employees, but to think it was demoralizing them to the extent of impacting performance.
If things continue this way, bankruptcy could become a likely outcome. That's why I have a request for you.
He looked at me earnestly.
My son will also be at the reunion. I want you to see if he's fit to be president. If not, think about cutting him off.
Really? Is that okay? I blurted out in surprise. He nodded at my loud voice.
I've heard how my son has cruelly insulted you, calling you poor. It seems you were an eyesore to him because you were a diligent and popular student. A son who demeans others for such reasons is not fit to be a president.
Charles's words finally solved the mystery for me. Essentially, Ethan disliked me because I had better grades and more friends. He continued to insult me as poor, just out of jealousy. I was just flabbergasted.
If my son is not fit to be a president, he might cause some problems eventually. Better to crush him before he spreads harm to the employees.
I understand. I realized Charles was serious with this request. After all, if I cut him official, and on the day of the reunion, which I should have been looking forward to, I felt gloomy, since it involved personnel matters at Martin Industries. I couldn't even discuss it with Tim. I sighed as I entered the venue. Inside, my former classmates were happily chatting. There were classmates I had been close to back then, and I enjoyed talking with them for the moment. However, Tim noticed that I was troubled.
What's up? You don't seem too happy for such a fun reunion. Got something on your mind?
It was a worry I couldn't even share with Tim. Sorry, I can't talk about it. Got a pretty heavy issue on my hands. As I let out a big sigh, laughter came from the entrance. It was unmistakably Ethan's voice.
Hey, is everyone good? I'm now running Martin Industries.
Ethan boasted about being the president, but all the classmates knew his dad, the chairman, had been the president. So no one was surprised to hear Ethan had become the president. Perhaps irritated that no one was surprised. Ethan's face turned a bit sour, but he soon smirked.
Hey, isn't that Michael?
Ethan noticed me and shouted, I didn't want to talk to Ethan just for today. Hey, long time no see. Glad to see you're doing well, Ethan. I managed to squeeze out a non-committal response. But seeing me flustered, Ethan seemed to misunderstand that I was afraid of him.
What's up? Still looking poor, huh? I'm the president with investments from major corporations.
He still belittled me as poor, just like in high school. But Ethan's attitude had gotten worse than it was back in high school. I was speechless at Ethan's next words.
Hey, is everyone else still poor too? Isn't there anyone here who has become important enough to follow my story?
Being a president is indeed significant, but such behavior doesn't fly at a reunion where status shouldn't matter. Everyone is working hard and living their lives. That fact is what's important. Just as Charles had worried, Ethan didn't want to think there were classmates who were leading more fulfilling lives than him. I made up my mind. So, Ethan, you've become the president, huh? Really getting investments from big companies? When I asked Ethan with a smile, he looked at me. Reacting to my words about being a president, Ethan came towards me with a full smile.
Yeah, that's right. I've been getting substantial investments from the latest hot investment funds. Becoming the president of a successful company, I guess I'm just lucky. Just let the employees work, and I can live easily.
Could Ethan really be the son of Charles? Thinking of making employees work while he relaxes is a concept I cannot accept. I blurted out in response to Ethan's words. Oh, that investment is canceled after all. Tim reacted first to my words.
Hey, Michael, are you sure you should say that?
I had planned to keep my role as the president of the investment fund a secret. I had even asked Tim to do so. But it was natural for Tim to be shocked since I had just revealed my identity myself. Following Tim's words, Ethan began to laugh loudly.
Hey, did everyone hear? Poor Michael here is canceling his investment in Martin Industries. What? You're jealous and tried to prank me?
I quietly responded to Ethan's laughter. I wasn't planning to reveal my current status, but when Ethan took the business card I offered, he immediately stopped laughing and turned pale.
This business card. Isn't this from the investment fund that's investing in us? Eh? President? It says president on the title.
Ethan's hands trembled as he held my business card. Still, Ethan refused to acknowledge me.
Well, anyone can forge a business card if they want. It's just like you to come to the reunion and show off a fancy company card to seem more important. There's no way the poor Michael I knew could ever be above me.
Ethan dismissed it as if convincing himself it was a lie. But Tim spoke up.
That's a genuine card, and Michael is actually the head of an investment fund. I've relied on him numerous times as a journalist.
Ethan stopped talking at Tim's words. A few classmates, perhaps having read about me in economic magazines, nodded in agreement. I continued quietly. I planned to keep quiet because it's awkward when people you're investing in are around, but seeing how Ethan acted today, I decided to pull the investment. Ethan panicked at my words.
Wait a minute. You're pulling your investment based on non-business behavior? That doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense when the president behaves arrogantly and looks down on others even outside the company. A company led by such a person doesn't have a future. That's why I'm withdrawing my investment. With that, I left the reunion hall. Ethan was still making a fuss, but I didn't look back. The next morning, Tim called me first thing. It seems the place turned chaotic after I left. Ethan, unable to accept that I was an investor, was ranting and raving.
Damn it. Why is that poor guy running an investment fund? Poor people should just act poor and bow down to me.
The classmates present were taken aback by his words and moved away from him. The commotion caused by Ethan changed the atmosphere of the reunion, and it ended prematurely. Ethan refused to accept it, but the other classmates were actually quite interested in the fact that I was the president of an investment fund. It seems Tim was bombarded with questions about me afterward.
After you left, everyone kept asking about you, Michael. It was a hassle, but I used my articles to explain your success, so it turned into a bit of self-promotion for me.
I feel bad for ruining the reunion. I'll arrange a do-over on my dime next time. Tim sighed at my response.
I'm a journalist, so I'll be investigating this matter and writing an article. Are you sure you're okay with stopping the investment?
I can't discuss everything over the phone, so apply for an official interview later. There will probably be a formal announcement from Martin Industries soon. After hanging up with Tim, I went to see Charles. He seemed to have lost weight, probably from worrying recently, and I felt guilty. But it was Charles who had asked me to evaluate whether Ethan was fit to be a leader. I reported everything to him without any reservations.
I see. So he really isn't cut out to be a president.
Charles looked down, disappointed. It must be tough to see the company you built and protected through any crisis potentially being ruined by your son. How painful that must be. But I'm not half-hearted in my investments. If Charles were still president, I wouldn't mind making additional investments. But seeing your son's behavior, I don't see a future for Martin Industries. I decided to cut off Martin Industries. Withdrawing my investment will significantly weaken Martin Industries' capital. Without securing funds from banks, the company might soon be unable to operate. Would banks be willing to lend to a company that has just lost funding from an investment fund? What happens to Martin Industries now is up to your son. It might be overstepping, but I'll arrange for the employees' reemployment later. I can't cover everyone, but I'll prepare as much as I can. The company is faltering because of his son. The possibility that employees and their families could end up destitute would likely be the most painful thing for Charles. Chairman had always cared deeply for his employees as comrades since the founding. It seemed my last concern was what would happen to the employees if I stopped investing. He seemed relieved as he spoke.
I hate to impose such an unpleasant role on you and even make you clean up afterward. But thanks to you, Michael, I can step back without worry. Thank you.
It was hard to see Charles's sad smile.
Hey, Michael, why did you stop the investment? Get it back.
From Ethan's point of view, I'm just a poor man, right? Isn't it problematic if a company needs to rely on a poor man to manage?
Ugh. How can a poor guy like you run an investment fund anyway? What kind of tricks did you pull?
I'm just leveraging the knowledge and experience I've gained through my work. It was based on that experience that I decided to halt my investment in Martin Industries, which Ethan is leading. A week since the reunion, this kind of conversation has continued. Every morning starts with a phone call filled with him yelling. It seems that after I withdrew my investment, Martin Industries couldn't keep up with its operations. They've been universally denied bank loans and are in a dire situation. Ethan immediately asked his dad to help him, but it seems he only got scolded and didn't receive any help. Ethan is desperate to turn the business around, but just asking me to return the investment funds isn't going to cut it. Ethan won't fundamentally solve the problems unless he realizes there's an issue with his attitude. Even if I were to reinvest, they'd soon run into trouble again. Martin Industries' operations continued to decline, and more employees began resigning. Many of the resignees moved to reemployment positions I had arranged. As employees dwindled, the workload became unmanageable. Ethan believed that as long as he had his employees working, he could relax. However, the employees who were supposed to make his life easier are rapidly disappearing. This means he is now facing the difficulties himself.
Damn it, what should I do? Employees keep quitting. I have no money, and I don't even know what to do next. Isn't there anyone left who understands the work? What should I do?
Ethan isn't considering solving things on his own. He's always looking for someone else to fix his problems. This is a stark contrast to Charles. Charles grew the company while also working himself. He debated with many employees and hustled through 2 economic recessions. Because he had shared these hardships with his staff, he never failed to show consideration. But Ethan lacks that experience. He was born the son of a president and raised to be the heir. Even after joining the company, he took it easy, hardly working because it was his dad's company. He sat back and looked down on employees. That's why he doesn't understand the business, and there are no employees willing to help him. Left alone, he was only able to flounder. Thus, Martin Industries easily went bankrupt. Ethan, as the current president, ended up with a massive debt. Charles did not take over his son's debts nor help with the bankruptcy proceedings. It was perhaps his way of retaliating against a son who neglected the employees and destroyed the company his dad had protected.
Why won't anyone help me? Not Dad, not Michael. If someone had helped, this wouldn't have happened.
Ethan is now distanced from his family, selling all his assets like his house and car to pay off debts. There's no reemployment in sight for Ethan, who never really worked properly and is now over 50. He even failed to pass the interview for a part-time job in industries known for their labor shortages. It seems his long-standing habit of acting superior as a president and his condescending attitude toward others was to blame. Currently, he lives alone in a cheap old apartment, working day jobs. Moreover, Tim conducted an interview about the bankruptcy of Martin Industries and wrote an article that widely publicized the details. Tim articles were sharply written, detailing how Ethan had unfairly criticized his employees and the differences between Charles and Ethan, which caused a significant reaction. Ethan, having always lived locally as a member of the founding family of Martin Industries, was well known in the area. As a result, many locals were curious about what had become of the Martin family. At the reunion, Ethan ended up showing his fallen state to the classmates he had once scorned as poor.
Why do I, who was supposed to be a president, have to live a more miserable life than the poor?
Living a life where he avoids people and gets yelled at by bosses was humiliating for Ethan. With his debts so extensive, his life will now be just about working to pay them off. After the collapse of Martin Industries, Charles retired completely from his business. He plans to live quietly, cultivating a vegetable garden as his hobby.
If I only think about the company's funds, my heart will be tense. I'll take it slow, growing vegetables that take time. As long as I don't indulge in luxuries, I have enough savings to live on.
Tim plans to write an article about Charles' way of life. It's unusual for an economic journalist to write about a lifestyle not bound by money. But indeed, living only thinking about money can be exhausting. That's why perhaps it's essential to know how to take a break and live without worrying about money. But I still need money. There are many companies I want to support. New businesses will continue to emerge. Perhaps there will be companies in industries that I can't even imagine right now. To support these companies, I intend to continue making money. What will I do when I get tired? Charles is gardening. I think I'll go fishing. It would be nice to just relax, looking at the sea or river, or just being rocked on a boat. I've decided my relaxation will be fishing. Even though I'm busy now, I find myself imagining just being rocked on a boat, zoning out. How long will I keep working? These thoughts occupy my mind as I continue to work hard today.